Yeah, by the end of the day, in just a couple hours, everybody, we're going to know who the final 4 participants in the Winter Cup are. And Rio, right there, by the way, is the only person to beat either of the 2 people in this first match, DOWSEY and Pwndnoob. Rio beat Pwndnoob in the group stages, his only loss, and
Yeah.
DOWSEY has not lost yet, just drawing Minty Rug in the group stages, and all their other wins were pretty comfortable margins there, Opie.
Yep.
Yeah, DOWSEY is very clearly one of the biggest names in this tournament. Came onto the scene in SCL4 and has just dominated since. There hasn't been much. There was that one time last Winter Cup where he was a bit rusty, but other than that, it's been all good performances all the way through.
Yeah, but something's got to give now with one of these two. Two of the favorites, certainly, in the tournament, and they're meeting not at the finals, but a little before that, not even the semifinals. One of them is going to go out a little quote-unquote early.
Yeah, and that may just be because Pwned did unfortunately get second seed in his group after having lost the first seed to Rio, who was on the other side of the bracket. So had a little bit of a harder time going through this bracket. So we'll see if Pwndnoob can kind of redeem himself here as the newest, diamond entrant in SCL. So obviously very high skill. It's gonna be very.
Yeah, so normally the difference between first and second in the group stages, it can be theoretical. Sometimes it can even be advantageous to take second. You never really know. But here you can see the difference very clearly between first and second. Obviously, there's nothing but tough players left, but getting second in that group rather than first means you get DOWSEY, the prohibitive favorite, maybe 1 round earlier than you might otherwise, or 2 in the case of Rio. That's the way it goes.
Anyway, we can get into it real quick here. We got some picks and bans. Nice and easy here. DOWSEY picked camera control, which is I don't know, maps where you move your camera around, and high rise.
Hey, High Rise has some camera control. You got to go rotate over.
Nobody
For bugs.
rotates over.
Come on. I
when swap is off, nobody rotates over. Anyway, then the next one, Party in a Box, is Noob's choice, which is all the roughly square maps and modern.
Yep. And look at those bands too.
Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it?
Man, one of these days we're gonna see Redwoods, but apparently it's not now. Maybe
we've gotten one Redwood set, but I don't think we casted it. So
yeah, great. All right, hopefully the next set. Anyway, let's get into it here. First game. Ooh, Noob starting off the correct way with Small Man.
Small one? I'm seeing pearls.
Oh, am I on the wrong set? Did I go
think
backwards?
you might have the dates backwards there. It is indeed Smallman for me, at least.
Yeah. Always remember to. I see Smallman on Terrace.
Flip those
Smallman
dates.
on Terrace. I probably have the wrong set then. Hold on. I'm sorry.
You might, in fact, have completely the wrong set. I don't know. All right.
Oh, yeah, just hold, please, as I thought I had the correct set, but it appears that I'm completely mistaken.
And just to reiterate then, Noob, again, has only 1 loss so far, and that was to Ryu, who has been blazing a trail through this, and certainly on the other side of the bracket. And DOWSEY, no losses, just a draw to Minty Rug, who I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, was actually a late replacement in that group stage after the tournament had actually already started. So Minty Rug, a little hard to prepare for in any event, very atypical play style. Even harder when you don't think you're playing them when the tournament starts, and then suddenly you have to. And certainly probably took DOWSEY a little bit by surprise there with that draw, but anyone who's seen Minty play, not terribly surprised that she was able to hang with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I actually have the correct set. Pwndnoob is in fact on Smallman on Terrace.
Ready when you guys are.
All right, I am good to go. Either of you can be the official counter downers.
Oh, I guess it'll fall to me then. Yeah. Fair enough. 3, 2, 1, plane.
So Terrace is interesting to me personally, as it's kind of, I feel like, the most active 3 of 5 venue for a spy. The way you frame AIs is much more. You take more of an active role on high rise and on pub when you're playing that 3 of 5, although we're not in this tournament currently. The way you frame AI is just wait for them to get, the whole inspects, fingerprints, doesn't matter. They get something, then you contact for them and hope they get shot. But on Terrace, it's a lot more about getting that delegate off, getting that purloin off, or looking for a bug. Just because there's a lot of good cover from these conversations, and the sniper has to be at the right angle for that. So it's very active venue for the Spy.
Yeah, still a frame game potentially, but as you say, more active than passive. Spy has a lot more initiative, but as we often say too, usually when you try to frame someone with a purloin, you are knocking it down to 2 people if they're paying attention. So coin flip at best sometimes, or at worst, depending on which side of the rifle you're on. By the way, Smallman, quick flirt, quick leave, comes. ST eventually comes back to him, and we have 2 flirts, 53% with a little over 2 minutes left, but it's Terrace, so it doesn't matter too much. You mentioned Bug. I think that is usually going to be the preferred mission of choice here, but we'll see.
Yeah, Bug is very strong on all venues, but Terrace, you definitely have some ability to make these clean bugs go by. Where most snipers do like to stay at that uh, angle, that corner angle that we're at right now with DOWSEY. And that does mean that there are definitely places, especially with how these conversations are kind of lined up from this angle.
Big moment coming here. Look at this, real banana bread, and look at
Banana
and I
bread.
think Sari, who has at least 1 fingerprint, maybe 2, is out for it, and only a couple people have real. The spy is one of them and does get highlit as a result. DOWSEY's sniper is reacting in the moment to who could have a real there.
Banana bread.
Noob is going to have to do this again. Does it again immediately. Knocks out Pearls, who I believe had a fingerprinted bar as well, and another highlight in hair. Very strange with these banana breads. I don't know if they're getting him a lot of mileage.
Yeah, I understand why he went for the second contact. It does give the rest of the party full, the rest of the party that's not low lit, all of them now have contact. But
Banana bread.
considering the fact that you already gave away a few lowlights, and the problem right now is every single contact, it has been different AIs out of conversation.
Yeah.
So we're just racking up lowlights. Normally, if you contact multiple times and you have some AIs out, you can get some overlap in like which ones are out. Pearl's getting some safety.
Yeah,
up, though.
as you were saying that, by the way, a third banana bread goes off, and Pearls was out for one of these, by the way. The second, I believe, did not take that low light, and it might be significant now because I'm pretty sure Pearls is done with fingerprint. If a shot doesn't come off in the next 10 seconds, DOWSEY is planning on holding, at least potentially, and it doesn't look like it is, so not going for it. Noob is going to have to finish. Does finish to deuce, but needs one more mission with 20 seconds left. It's either going to be a rush purloin where no one with a normal light will have sent us, or we're going to have to bug and dance. That's going to be a bug attempt. DOWSEY is all over it, and it doesn't take. Shoots through a crowd onto Smallman. 1-0 DOWSEY.
Yeah, it was actually a decent bug covered up by the conversation, but we also broke an animation to leave that conversation, and against DOWSEY, that's not something you want to be doing.
Yeah, and he had the party so narrowed down that he can afford to look for those kind of minute things at that point. We were one of just a few suspects left. It was so narrowed down from those banana breads. And by the way, that was with your top suspect being a missed low light. So it could have been even worse, as it turns out. I think maybe that first one probably spiraled things out of control eventually, because then the second became necessary, and on and on. Anyway, it's 1-0 on a very winnable venue for the spy, and DOWSEY is now playing Cowboy. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, so Cowboy, for a lot of people, usually the ambassador. In fact, something that DOWSEY himself popularized, I believe, but now has moved on to Disney ambassador. Another kind of bad spy, I would say. Disney and Cowboy both not exactly your best optimal options, but looks like DOWSEY is kind of might be trying to play against type as far as character selection goes. Definitely something that Pwned might be wanting to watch.
DOWSEY, by the way, redirects a couple times in the beginning and takes control to get a green flirt next to his seduction target, Ponytail. And he's halfway done with that, but probably, knowing DOWSEY, watching the party a lot more than that seduction target, at least in the early going. And there are a lot of bar visitors, so there are some opportunities coming here, once we get rid of that drink, which we just have.
Yeah, so a green flirt for our first flirt was very nice, 51%. If we can get another one, that's going to open up the game quite a bit. I know the pain of having an ST on Terrace that just does not want you to flirt. So if we can get this green, but no, it's a white test.
It's a white test, 85%. However, I don't think DOWSEY was going to try to rush the soft tells anyway. Not really his style. Definitely likes to be a little more creative, and I think is probably going to want Noob to civ shot. It's the kind of thing I think that he's maybe a little more susceptible to than just a straight rush mission win, even with the 2 flirt. 85% then. A lot of bouncing around. Seduction target comes back, and the double agent joins. We would be giving up just 2 lowlights for a banana bread here. That's what we're going to do. It's a... Oh, the DA leaves. It's going to read as a fake. It's going to give up at least 2 lowlights, maybe 3. I think Hera was borderline. Noob gets 2, and yep, is maybe rethinking hair. Not sure she was gone. Failed bug attempt in the meantime, by the way. And the seduction target Seduction is
we got
finished
a
up
little bit for
simultaneously.
just a moment there.
Just
But
a moment there. Yeah, at this point, I don't even react for the first 5 seconds because God knows, Noob of all people will bring them right back up. Another failed bug attempt, by the way. We are in a prime bugging position, which is why these attempts are being tried. But I think the character a little too quick. If the characters were switched, maybe if he were the character playing the ambassador and Cowboy was the ambassador instead, I think those might have taken. That's one of the reasons he's such a popular ambassador, by the way. A little slower, better for reverse drive-bys, which are powerful on Terrace. But after all that tumult, we've given up on a few lowlights. We have a minute left. Seduce is done. And it doesn't look like any AIs are particularly large suspects yet.
yeah, this is looking a little bit bad for DOWSEY here. There's just not much going on in this party as far as I can tell. And we don't have enough progress. We're gonna need to do another contact optimally if we want to, look for that last delegate or a bug or something. DOWSEY's gonna go out to Windows here instead of joining a conversation, which is a little bit interesting. It's not super spy-like, which maybe Pwn rewards, but Pwn has said before that everyone is behavioral on 3 of 5 venues. Everyone is considering their behavior, which is why he doesn't actually like them as much, even though you would expect a behavioralist such as Pwn's to like those behavioral venues.
Yep, my assumption was that he was doing
Banana
that so that
bread.
this conversation would fill up a little more so we could do a reel, which is pretty much exactly what happened. Pearls walks in, leaves again after that. The double agent bails again, but this time the banana bread went off just before rather than just after, and we do delegate at the same time, so there is a mission win pending, but Noob is staring that cowboy hat down.
Yeah, I think we shoot. I think we get shot as soon as this happens. Yeah, there it goes, right into the hat, as you mentioned. And that's 1-1. Snipers shooting the spies on Terrace.
AI's not particularly suspicious that game, and another issue with the banana bread, same kind of thing Noob had, maybe for different reasons. In this case, the DA bails on us. Doesn't work quite as well as you'd hope, but an understandable mistake. Can't possibly predict that sort of thing. It's 1-1. We're going into high rise. Speaking of White Dress there, who is factored into both of these games at least a little bit, that's who Pwndnoob is going to be controlling on High Rise 3-5 with the standard mission setup, microfilm swap, and Purloin turned off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Something that's a bit interesting about this is that Purloin is something that Pwndnoob has liked a lot to turn on during this tournament at the very least. So the fact that this is now turned off against DOWSEY is very interesting.
I think it's definitely opponent-centric. I think you can make a good case for leaving it on, but once you get up into the rarefied air of the quarterfinals and beyond, and even earlier in some cases, I think the snipers are just too good, and you'd rather have those softtels on instead. But I think against maybe an intermediate sniper can be very, very powerful, especially as a last-ditch mission if there are no good bug opportunities and you don't want to finish with softtels. But against DOWSEY, I just don't think he's just not expecting to be able to get it by. Also not expecting to do much of anything in the beginning of this. There's the first mission about 40 seconds in. It's a contact. Should let off one low light. And let's see if there are any highlight strategies coming out from this. No, pretty agnostic. Pretty agnostic.
Yeah, and the Toby had come up right behind us as we contacted, which if Purloin were on, it would have been a decent time to try to go for that, although we are in front of the venue, but Purloin's off, we don't have to consider it. We just take an innocent drink, and we have no flirt progress yet, but our ST obliges and comes decently near us, and we hit a green test.
That'll help a little bit. Still going to be a 3 flirt at minimum, but 43% is a decent place to be at with 2 minutes left, and the contact already done, and it was a pretty good contact at that, so Noob probably just still weighing his options like a good spy normally would. I would say they're waiting for a good bug opportunity, but you're really not going to get any standing here.
Yeah, definitely very unsuspicious as spots to stand to go. You just don't have much opportunity to get things done. And the fact that we haven't moved at all, Pwndnoob may be trying to make DOWSEY think that he's not super suspicious right now. But even then, I think you have to get a pretty clean bug off that DOWSEY could only credit to have that work. Because if you go to statues late in the game, I think DOWSEY is able to take that shot regardless, just because he knows, you could have flirted with Orange Dress maybe.
The flirtation cooldown, meanwhile, has expired, and it's another green test, 87%, and the seduction target leaves right afterwards. So that went about as well as it possibly could. They leave right after the timer and right after another green. Any flirt from any distance now will do. We are walking vaguely near the ambassador, but we're not interested in bugging yet. Let's see if Noob is going to head their bets with any statue visits. They are not. They're going to go to the window, try to finish this, and see what else the party produces. Yeah, obviously, this is one of the least selected characters in competitive play, and they were visible out front the entire time. If you're trying to earn any goodwill without doing anything too overt, like a subtle stop or any weird pathing or anything like that, any kind of micro, that would be the way to do it, but DOWSEY does not seem to want to reward it or just doesn't care, doesn't notice, doesn't matter. Seduce is done in the meantime, by the way. 2 missions done, 45 seconds left. It's not exactly akin to the standard courtyard conundrum, but it's
It's
it
up
is
there.
something you
It's
find
not-
yourself in high rise, yes, where you get the 2 safe missions done, and if an AI isn't dead yet, you start to think about how to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, what makes the early finishes on high rise so strong. Like, the spy doesn't want to early finish, they want to see if an AI gets shot first. But, you know, in that case, maybe the sniper wants to reward not shooting. But
Here's a fake.
here we
It's going to be
go.
white.
in the end of red.
This is going to try to prompt a shot with about 15 seconds left, kind of a last-ditch effort. And if it doesn't take, what are you going to do? It's either going to be a timeout or a crash bug, and I can't imagine either's going to work if DOWSEY hasn't shot
This
yet.
has got to be a
Probably
bug.
not going to. Yep, here we come. DOWSEY's looking at
This
the whole
path is a
way.
little bit gross.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. It's exactly like the last game in the sense that they know who the spy could be if the hard tell takes place, and they're just waiting for it to happen, and the spy might as well walk in front of the laser for them at the end. Both snipers in total control on these 3-5 variants.
And it was a little unfortunate that this was a wrong arm bug. Noob was taking a pretty sharp angle to the ambassador, and just, you know. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like,
Showed him the.
I mean, I think DOWSEY might have been on it anyway. That path is very bug pathy, but
And it was overtime, 10 seconds worth of it.
yep.
Yeah, I think having the path fine and having the arm completely hidden, it wouldn't have mattered. The timing is just too suspect. You're gonna shoot no matter what there. It is going to be 2-1 DOWSEY, and they're going to be spying as Smallman again.
That's
This time
the
on
50% Smallman appearance.
Yeah. Well, it was
Uh,
Noob last time, so it's 1-1 so far.
Oh, you're correct. You're right. 50% total. Okay, fair enough. Ready when you guys are. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
As it happens, 50% for both players as well.
Yes, yes. It's perfect. We should just stop here, I think.
Yeah. We don't let them get any more Smallman games in. So DOWSEY will be going for these early inspects, which is, as I mentioned, something that spies don't really like to do. So perhaps we can get credit for not being super suspicious. Although the problem is doing this, you do 2 cycles, and then the sniper is kind of obligated to watch you flirt, just to see if you can finish here.
Yep, if you weren't already top suspect, you certainly are now. And by the way, that first inspect was a green. The second was a white, which means it's going to be a 2-cycle if you want to finish. That's a pretty big action test there, whereas
Oh,
inspect action
we have
test is not
Purloin
usually
on.
very.
as
Purloin
DOWSEY
is
here.
indeed on, you're right. It's fingerprint that's
And
off
we
its
take
fade,
it.
and there's a green! There's a green! We're going to try to BB into this, I think, almost immediately.
Oh, we are taking a green after the list, but we're playing Smallman. This is not the character you want to be doing this with. Toby has to kneel down to offer to you, so I feel like there's no way Pone's not all over this right
The
now.
only-
Pone's gonna watch this, let's go away, and Smallman's gonna die.
That is perfectly on screen. Noob, not only was he staring it down, but Toby even kind of obliged. It was a particularly viewable area. It's a very aggressive move. I think what you're banking on there is you're basically saying, I'm hoping they're either not going to notice it's off, or they're just not going to expect it at this point in the game, especially if I've gone to statues early. You're just hoping they forget, which is a thing on Purloin, no doubt about it. But 2-2, Smallman gets shot again, once again for a hard tell, although this one took. We're going to move on to Gallery now. Pwndnoob is going to be playing Seek. I'm going to try to break this logjam tie. In 3,
Yeah.
2, 1, playing it.
Seek is one of those taller characters in the game, and on Gallery that can matter quite a bit, especially with that back conversation. It can provide a lot of cover for the shorter character.
Rude. Joins the conversation, flirts, walks away immediately, breaks animation. Against DOWSEY, no less. But you're hoping in the chaos of Gallery, it's not noticed.
Yeah, it's definitely not, and it's something that is definitely worth the time to do if you think you can get away with it. Just because that flirt on Gallery can be so perilous. We have seen over time and again, spies just get absolutely wrecked by flirt or contact on this very large venue.
And Noob has not done anything since that initial flirt. Probably waiting to see where the seduction target ends up. When they go to those painting pads, you have no idea what's going to happen next, and by the time you get to them, they've usually already gone. Noob trying to hedge their bets, going to follow them to green bookshelf. It looks like instead is well aware of something we note on casts all the time at all skill levels, which is that, boy, it's really easy to time out on Gallery, and it's easy to not finish your flirt. Not going to let that happen here. There's another action test. It's going to get you up to 85%. We are also going to do a white microfilm and walk
cancel
away.
it. We just canceled it. We didn't bother. We just did a whoa.
Yep, I think that was green or bust, I think is what it was at the green bookshelf. And by the way, would have gotten away with the white, I think, because DOWSEY was zooming in and out at the time. That would have been free. We're going to finish this flirt. Just like that, we're done. We have a green book in hand. There's 2 minutes, 15 seconds left, and the hardest mission, arguably, on Gallery is already done. We're going to get credit. We're going to go to the far left of the green bookshelf. We want to be seen putting this back, potentially. That might be the idea. That green bookshelf has cover on the right side. If you want credit for returning the book to the right place, you make sure you're seen on the left, and it's all that much easier because, as you mentioned, this character is quite tall and indeed has a bright red turban on to boot. The book does go back. We think better of the whole microfilm plan, apparently. Walk by the Amba innocently enough. We're going to go to a statue here and get some inspects in. I think that Smallman, at the adjacent statue, is actually picking up a long-cooked fingerprint from early in the game. Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. Smallman, very archetypically a big villain over here on Gallery. He can hide in that back conversation, hide back there, and not even be visible.
Are we gonna frame
Looks
him?
like we might be trying to frame him, but this is not exactly the kind of place you want to be if if the sniper is
yet.
watching Smallman.
Yep.
Right,
Well,
you're gonna be watching the fade, but no, DOWSEY did not see the fade, even though it was right in front of him. We do get the flurry of lowlights that come after that swap.
Yep.
He knows exactly who could have done it. It's
Yep.
Smallman or Seek. I'm surprised he didn't see the fade, but we're still in trouble as Pwndnoob here. We only have 2 missions done. If you're going to swap and you're going to get it narrowed down like that, you usually want it to be in the last 10 seconds of the game to have them figure it out.
we've got it narrowed down to either the tallest or the shortest person in the party, and we don't know which. And I think not seeing that
And in
fade
the
just a
red.
product of who would do this here. It's very counterintuitive. There's a fake. We're clearly trying to go in on a Smallman frame. Smallman could be done here at this point, but if he doesn't go back to statues again or pick up another fingerprint or both, DOWSEY's probably going to have a pretty darn good mission count on him because that swap did not take place too late in the game there. No shot has come off yet. This is looking like a really good hold right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to kind of point out, imagine if we had gotten a bug before that swap and we had been in with the real DA, that would have been a finish, and we would not have been shot yet. But, bugs are hard to get off after you've done the swap, so you got to do it before. But
here's a green purloin walking away, by the way, and I don't know what we're going to try to do here. We're not going to even have time to finish the inspects. We're not even going to get to pending here. The timing is just off. Even after that flirt getting done so efficiently early in the game, we still ran out of time because we spent too much time trying to get Smallman shot. I think there was probably a 20-second window there where he still could have gotten to a mission win countdown, whether it would have worked or not, where it was already obvious that Smallman was not going to get shot. After that BB, I think you wait 15 seconds, and if the shot doesn't come off, you got to move a little quicker than that. Don't know if it would have worked, but it would have given you a chance at least. DOWSEY wins.
yeah, DOWSEY taking that very nicely held. I think it was just a pure mission count scenario. He knows that neither character has been to second statues. There's nothing that they have done to actually finish missions there, so does not feel compelled to shoot. But that's where the hidden mission, like a bug or a microfilm, could have come in. Unfortunately, Pwndnoob does not have that. Times out instead, and now we're on to DOWSEY as Teal on Gallery.
DOWSEY on Teal's Gallery, up 3-2, trying to break that serve. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. The main reason to pick Teal at this point is that nobody likes to pick Teal.
Hey, I like to pick Teal.
Because nobody likes to pick Teal, though, right?
Teal's actually a good character. Don't at me.
Oh, wow. I think you're going to get some ads.
Oh, that's a bug.
That is a bug and a low light after the bug. Now, usually when this happens, not always, but usually what it means is I saw them take a suspicious bug path, and I'm confident they didn't bug, and what spy would take a bug path without bugging, right? That's usually the logic there. If that is the logic, it could be big trouble. The only saving grace is that DOWSEY probably doesn't have any reason to think they're low lit. They probably assume that's a highlight.
Yeah, definitely think that that's a highlight, but we did get a difficult fingerprint, so I seriously doubt that DOWSEY freezes up here. That difficult fingerprint, if he thinks that Pwned was paying attention to the bug in that scenario and you got a highlight for him, like, it's very easy to lose track of a fingerprint on a drink, especially when you're paying close attention to a bug. So DOWSEY getting that fingerprint is going to feel probably emboldened to go for a second fingerprint, even if he thinks it's a highlight.
I would say a timeout would be unlikely for DOWSEY in any event, just not really his style. But yes, the difficult fingerprint hitting, even attempting it, shows a desire to finish and a belief that you can finish even if you're a suspect for the bug, probably assuming on Gallery, probably correctly, that other people will have potential bugs as well. Probably still doesn't know he's low lit, but as long as he doesn't do anything too overt, if he makes nice, steady progress across Softails and finds a non-obtrusive fingerprint, he could be just fine. Pwndnoob is in big trouble and probably doesn't even know it yet. DOWSEY lining things up. Not going to go for another flirt just yet. We're going to hang around, sip this drink, presumably free our hands up. And what we do next could determine the rest of the game. That is a briefcase we are obligated to pick up. We are going to finish Fingerprint. That is done. Bug is done. Fingerprint is done. Seduce is a third of the way done. We have 2 minutes left, and Contact is still on the table. But you hate to be at the mercy of the DA on Gallery. The DA, by the way, all the way out front. DOWSEY elects not to squeeze their way in there and get that mission done now. We are going to take a weird little redirect onto Statue.
Yeah.
A little funky,
Very
but as a low
clearly-
light, you're probably fine.
Yeah, I think if you were a highlight there, DOWSEY probably.
That's a
gets shot.
swap. That's a green
Yeah.
swap.
DOWSEY is not trying to complete in any kind of conventional sense right now, and I do like that kind of playstyle. Not completing in the conventional sense can be very, very strong, especially if the sniper is not expecting it. You're a highlight, and they don't expect you to do the thing that you're doing. Here comes a Purloin, which is going to be a white chest at the exact same time as the swap's about to come off for Salmon.
And Salmon's back is to the sniper, and he gets shot for it. It works.
Yeah, that swap fade was on screen, so I'm really surprised that the shot came off that quickly onto Salmon, but it does happen. Pwndnoob takes the shot, brought up Salmon, but did not bring up Teal, which is very interesting, I think, for going to that last statue.
My guess is did
very
not
unfortunate.
even. Well, so here's the interesting thing about this. This actually kind of makes sense from Pwndnoob's perspective. He's low-lit someone for a bug path at the beginning of the game. It's not like a BB or something that the spy could have known about. So he's probably thinking, aha, I've got you. You're trying to frame someone I've already ruled out. Tee-hee-hee. Probably not even looking at that point at Teal's visit to the statue. And you're right, the fade is on screen technically, but only if you're really looking for it. Very obvious based on that shot that Noob was not looking at the fade and just thinks, well, I guess I missed something. They sure did. It's just not what they think. That is 3 hardtails done and a partial seduce, no contact, gallery win thanks to that early bug path low light. Boy, oh boy. Teal, OP. Maybe no one will latch you after all. So, DOWSEY breaks serve. Up 4-2 now, which is a commanding lead at this point, especially going into library, which he enjoys quite a bit.
Library is definitely DOWSEY's favorite venue, probably one of his strongest as well.
And it's going to be Noob as Leopard in 3, 2, 1, Planet.
I kind of got to get into why I think Teal is not a bad character. Her animations are decent. She's short. She's unobtrusive. She's slim. That is very, very important in terms of how I rank characters these days. I don't like playing with tall characters. There's broad characters. Disney, don't like them. But I digress. We're as Rocker here, or Leopard as you put it, and we're just kind of standing around.
Yeah, well, we're standing around for the standard reason, which is our seduction target is busy. And as I say over and over, and I'm probably not going to stop saying it for a while, the upside of this is that your seduction target is doing things, and maybe they're a suspect. They are a highlight for DOWSEY for an early center statue visit, and a character in Kane who is probably inherently a little more suspicious than average, but we have no flirts done. We have no progress of any kind done, not even a patented Pwndnoob library time ad for that matter. And we're down to 3 minutes and 40 seconds left with nothing done and just 1 AI highlight by the sniper.
There may very well be a like kind of thing in Pwndnoob's head saying, hey, let's not, time ad, because DOWSEY surely is on his research, surely is aware, and surely is ready for it.
Yep.
But
by the way, enters conversation. Green BB immediately bails, probably fishing for a lowlight or something, or at least trying to throw a little chaff in the air. No evidence that it's worked yet, but Noob does end up at a side statue to get some inspects in.
Fingerprintable even, but he doesn't take the fingerprint.
Very interesting. I wonder if I'm not sure I really understand the logic there. Might not have even noticed, did not realize it was there, and did not react in time, perhaps. Maybe he was determined to get out of there quick, maybe hoping they're low lit, maybe some combination. That is a very short window stay. We do have a highlight, by the way, after leaving that statue. I'm going to guess, actually, for that possible fingerprint, which we didn't take. This could be the worst of all possible worlds. We do get a seduction in here, though, finally, 27%. And part of a microfilm, I think that might have been on screen. DOWSEY is not moving as if they saw it, but there's no reason to shoot yet, even if they think they might have.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows that Rocker has not been to 2 bookshelves. And right now, we're looking in a really bad spot for Pwndnoob. We've got this highlight. We don't even have the fingerprint that we've been credited for, so going for fingerprints is basically impossible. We're going to get up to 78% with this flirt here. Very nice green test. But we need another animation microfilm. We need to go back to statues, and we still even need one more mission after that. I think that the standard finish here, looking at mission progress overall, is going to be finished with the microfilm, flirt, then inspect, swap for the finish.
Yeah, we have good progress, but not good progress relative to the amount of suspicion that we can tell the sniper has for us. It's going to be hard to get away with even this microfilm, I think. But it is totally off screen, as it turns out. Totally off screen. DOWSEY looks over afterwards. Noob puts the book back. Microfilm is done. But can you survive another talk, another statue visit, and one more mission besides, which, based on the fact that, as you mentioned, Fingerprint is probably not going to be viable, is going to be a hard tell. Good luck with that. Seduce is done, though. However, sure looking like Inspect Swap with 90 seconds left, and it is early enough that you might not get stared down for it. Oh, some trouble bumping on the pad, bumping into the Ambassador. We might be credited with a bug now that we're not even getting, similar to the Fingerprint. Bumped back down. Let's see if this holds.
It looked like that might have been for the pathing. DOWSEY looked like he liked it, but unfortunately, right as you get the less suspicion, you go and do something that's going to get you more suspicion. So DOWSEY is watching hard for this swap right now. He can't seem to get a beat on it, but we don't swap.
We don't
go
swap.
for that.
I think Noob correctly surmises I'm being stared down for this. I am a big suspect after all. They don't know if that pathing got them low lit, high lit, neutral lit, whatever. No way to guess. We need
The last mission then. Like, you have to find something. That swap wasn't it.
It's going to be a bug attempt, and DOWSEY is looking at it. Looking at it. Yep. Saw it. Not that visible, but DOWSEY is all over it. So good at catching the ends of those walking bugs.
Yeah, and if Pwndnoob had waited just a little bit longer until the Ambassador was more on his right side, he could have gotten the arm facing away from the sniper as he walks along with the Ambassador. So it doesn't look as bad. You can't actually see it from the sniper side, but I think DOWSEY would be very, very capable of still actually taking that shot, even if the arm Pwndnoob wanted.
And we have a similar scenario to that first Terrace game where all those people were knocked out by those BBs. Look at this endgame screen. 2 highlights, 11 lowlights. There's just nothing to look at but the spy at the end of these games, and that makes catching bugs all the easier. DOWSEY now, a chance to take a really commanding lead and start to bring this home. Playing as Hare on Library in 3, 2, 1, playing it. I should say red dress, shouldn't I? They all have hair, but nobody has quite this much hair. This is the most.
So many polygons.
So many polygons. I think I read 20,000 triangles, something like that. It's more than your average character, something like that. Insane. They really went.
I would imagine it's got to be more than your average character. Your average character.
Oh no, I mean the hair alone has more than entire other.
Oh.
There's some kind of weird little bit of trivia like that. We're bumping all around. We're breaking animation. We're leaving conversation, and we're actually picking up this briefcase rather than get the Seduce in. We're going to get an early Fingerprint. We are not going to bug afterwards, and we are going to Seduce right after with a little bit of pillar cover, which, no, maybe not, just off to the side of it. So I don't think you're going to want to bug here, not that you were going to want to anyway. We're waiting on this flirt. We're suddenly showing a weird amount of respect. There's the bug! That's on screen, but it doesn't mean they saw it.
Yeah,
that's
we
Library in a
were
nutshell.
very much barely in range there for that standing bug, so it might have been hard to watch, but it was so on screen, it was kind of into the open air. But I think just Oprah's color scheme in general does kind of blend into the background of Library. The reddish, the kind of ruddy reddish brown tones there are very reminiscent of that Library background. So maybe that was missed in.
They're not playing Red Woods, but that's what it looks like, doesn't it? And there was a weird little thing too, because we are facing a different way into the conversation as the Ambassador. It looks like we're not close enough, but we're shallow in our placement within the circle, which means that even though it may look at first glance like we're not in bugging range, we are. That might have been what did it, or Pwndnoob could just be waiting for an actual mission count. But my guess is DOWSEY mostly got away with this. The laser flicks over us, but no highlight is forthcoming. A Fingerprint is done. The Seduce is still a third done, but that bug, we might have gotten away with another bug. We're not low-lit for this bug, at least, so improvement. But we are going to get 2 inspects here, and just real straightforward. And I got to imagine we're going to get another flirt done right here. Yep, that's what we're going to do. How could you not?
Yeah, last time DOWSEY and Pwndnoob played, actually in Summer Cup, DOWSEY was also low-lit for a bug back then, too, so a little bit reminiscent of history going on right here. Although this set does seem to be quite a bit closer than the last one.
Yeah, definitely. Snipers who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. That's what's happening here. But the fact that we're not low-lit means there is still hope. You need 5 missions on Library after all. That's quite a few. DOWSEY hanging out at windows. Not really windows. We'd call them windows. Windows are on the other side. We're going to get another flirt done. We're going to get this done right here. It's going to be a 3 flirt, pretty standard. And we're going to disrespect the sniper, disrespect the etiquette again. This time we do get a highlight for that second statue visit. It's side statues both times. Inspect's going to finish. And we can also fingerprint this, which means we can swap right here for the win. And that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a white test. We are in the countdown. Noob is staring at it, takes the shot into the aforementioned hair. That is a very early swap finish for DOWSEY, but Noob is ready for it. Very impressive.
Yeah, I think that as you get into the higher levels of play, you definitely see people ready for those early swap finishes. As long like they know that timing doesn't matter; it's your mission count that does. And Pwndnoob is very much aware of the fact that maybe even if he missed the bug, he's like, okay, I could be looking at a swap finish here, and that was a very nice shot.
Yeah, very nice indeed, and really necessary too, because even with that, by my count, Noob's still down 5-3 here, and we are running out of time. He needs to come back right here, right now, to stay alive in this tournament. This is not a group stage anymore, people. This is the knockout bracket, thus called because you will be knocked out of the tournament if you lose. Noob's back is against the wall, and with his back against the wall, he's chosen to go to war with General on Ballroom, your favorite venue, in 3, 2, 1, planet.
Now I could go on all day on why Ballroom is my favorite venue and the best venue in the game, but that is not what we're here for today. We are here to watch Pwndnoob try to come back against DOWSEY, and DOWSEY is 1 point away from locking up a draw. If I'm correct, is this 5-3 currently?
Yeah, 5-3, and at least, obviously, no draws except in the group stage. You mean, of course, the dreaded
Yes.
overtime.
The overtime missions equals points on Taeyen
Oh boy.
is our tiebreaker. The reason that it's on Taeyen is because Taeyen is the only venue that was left out when Redwoods got slotted into these new bracket stage venues. So figured we might as well put Taeyen in there somewhere, and Taeyen is
The
now
fact that it
missions
feels
equals
like the
points.
craziest way to play missions versus points, that's just a bonus, I suppose. And that did happen to Noob in the previous round, I believe, actually. It's the only time it's happened so far.
He was the only one. He and Delos are the only one who have played missions equals points Taeyen so far in this bracket stage, and Pwndnoob actually won that match by
Contact into bug as the ambassador walks back. We were probably planning on a reverse drive-by, but instead we split right after the green, walk with the Amba, and that is just straight up not on screen. You might credit it, you might say, hey, there's some Amba collision going on, but we've talked about how good General's walking bug is in previous casts. That's one of the reasons why, from any kind of distance, you're thinking, well, the difference between that and just walking, pretty straightforward. We might be a big suspect, but if we're not a huge one, we could be in line for a win, especially with a fingerprint done. Right now, there's our first flirt coming off, 49%. That's still going to keep us in 2 flirt range. And if we can get one more Softail style action off without getting shot, it looks like we might have a win. A much, much needed win, which means we would be sniping for the tie on Ballroom. Big, big moment coming up when we get the second fingerprint here. That will probably be the moment of truth.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to find where that fingerprint is. If we get it like off of briefcase or something, that's probably going to be a hard time to get that done. I think we're going in trying to see if we can get close enough for the second green flirt to finish us off, but no, if we got real deep in that conversation, we could have gotten it. But it's just too far across, and Pwndnoob picks up the second green, but only 92%.
That's unfortunate, certainly. We're going to need that third flirt now with a minute left and still waiting for the ambassador to leave a fingerprint somewhere, potentially, so you can avoid a statue visit. It's a rough situation to be in. The Amba is going to go to statues, which means you can't even pick up that briefcase until they're done. This is very unfortunate. You don't want to be finishing with statues and fingerprints here if you don't have to. Noob goes in an empty conversation, leaves after one idle, finishes the flirt very aggressively.
Yeah,
40 seconds left.
that laser. DOWSEY did not like that
Well,
one bit.
The only saving grace is that the guest list is near us. He could have been watching some of that just as much. We don't really know, but you're right. It is a little worrisome from Noob's perspective. We are going to go. We're going to try to finish up the fingerprint here. I think what you want to do is one cycle at least so they know you're not done with inspects. You want to put that statue down immediately. The fingerprint is done. Statue indeed goes down. DOWSEY zooms in. No, he's looking at the guest list. He's looking at the guest list. I think Noob's done it. He has, and now he can snipe for the tie on Ballroom.
That play took an immense amount of trust. A lot of snipers will just shoot you as soon as you step onto that
Yes.
statue pad,
Yep.
but Pwndnoob goes up there, trusts DOWSEY not to shoot him immediately, and wait for the second cycle on the inspect finish, or apparent inspect finish, when in reality it was a fingerprint that DOWSEY it looks like it slipped his mind, and Pwndnoob managed to make that spy when it happened, despite looking like a really big suspect really early on.
You are exactly right. That is a rare interesting case of using a sniper's own skill, discipline, and attention against them. You go for that second cycle there. He's thinking, you're probably done. That's a fingerprintable statue. Fingerprint wasn't even sitting there very long. But because DOWSEY is disciplined enough and smart enough and good enough to look for that second cycle before considering a shot, it ultimately cost him the game because Noob got away with that bug. That is how you beat a good sniper, people. You use their own knowledge against them. Of course, it also helps to get away with a bug, too. Either way, now DOWSEY feels his lead potentially slipping away. He has to spy to maintain that lead and force at least overtime as queen on ballroom. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. What a big win for Noob. He absolutely needed that.
Yeah, it was really, really impressive. Very, very smartly played by Noob. Knew exactly what he needed to do to kind of manipulate DOWSEY into not shooting. That's a very big skill, trying to sell the story you want the sniper to see as a spy. It goes into framing, it goes into sneaking by without them seeing what you're doing, it goes into everything. Selling that story is so, so important, and we'll see if DOWSEY can do the same thing right here.
He's got a green flirt here in the early going. If I know DOWSEY, or just good spy play in general on Ballroom, you're usually going to be looking at a bug. But as we saw on Gallery, DOWSEY can play very, very unconventionally. Very creative spy, very aggressive, willing to do multiple hardtails when they're not expected. That can be very, very powerful, particularly from someone like Noob, who I think it's fair to say likes to make certain assumptions about what's going to happen in each game. Will focus on some missions more than others. There are those blind spots. You just never know what they're going to be looking at any one time, but it does create openings sometimes where some missions slip through the cracks. Probably a pretty good fit for DOWSEY's spy. But as sniper, you only got to catch one thing. DOWSEY's only done one thing so far. It's that half flirt. We're going to try to timer flirt to finish it up if we can. Hope they don't leave in the meantime, but we're running low on time. There's the cooldown. It's another green test, and we are done with the flirt just like that. 2 minutes left, one mission done, but it is probably the most time-consuming.
Yeah, time consuming it is, but not having to do that second, oh, that's a bug. That did not quite take. We triggered that bug a little bit too late as far as the reverse drive-by is concerned. That is definitely very dangerous as well. You don't actually have cover from the front of your conversation. We could try for another one, but we don't. We don't go for that one. We just accept that we failed the first one. We didn't get a shot for it. Let's not push our luck. DOWSEY is still. Oh, but he will go for this bug. We immediately get highlight for it, though, as we walk forward.
I mean, it's zoomed in on by Noob, and the arm still is not visible. When the bug is done that well, you just have to know it could be a bug. And people say credit a lot. You really do have to credit that one. That was not seen. I think maybe a little difference in posture at worst, but that's really hard to shoot for. We are at statues, however, now. We are getting the inspects done, and Pwndnoob just right there, even without the contact. No chances taken. He knows DOWSEY is good enough to do those invisible bugs. And Noob sweeps Ballroom to tie it back up.
So you could actually see the beginning of the bug if you're real good. You can see your arm going down and sort of starting to swing out. I mean, I don't know if Noob saw that in the game. I mean, I probably would not have seen that.
I probably wouldn't have either. It's an excellent, excellent bug, but Noob is at the very least, he is protecting the bug about as well as you can. Except for going all the way to the right side of Ballroom, which is not where you want to be for very long or very often. That's about as well as you can protect it, and obviously the shot is correct, certain or otherwise. And now we are tied heading into Moderne, but this is not your father/SCL's Moderne. This is 4 of 8, which means we're not just probably going to go into overtime because we're going to get 2 sniper wins. It is entirely plausible that someone could sweep this venue. Noob is going to start off at Spy, though, playing Duke in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Moderne 4 of 8 does seem to work out pretty well. This is a little experimentation on your part as tournament organizer, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had some testing on Moderne 4 of 8 for a while now. The first time we ever really saw it was way back in the day. My personal first ever tournament that I participated in was actually one of the first venue tournaments, the 2-day tournaments that we have been doing since then, the Moderne Warfare Tournament, 4 of 8 Moderne.
Organized by Pwndnoob, as a matter of fact.
Yes, organized by Pwndnoob. But since then, we have gotten the Spooky Tournament, in which we tried all the 5 of 8 venues on as 4 of 8 setups instead. And in that time, I think Moderne has had the biggest positive reception. I think Veranda and Library, most of them are, everyone was like, no, we don't really like this as much. But Moderne 4 of 8 has been very popular, and given the balance of Moderne 5 of 8, I think this is a very good choice for competitive play in general. But here we go, 2 fingerprints for Pwndnoob, and you know, normally on Modern, that's going to be a really hard start to work with because you're going to be a big highlight because they're very, very aggressive fingerprints. You got one off the bar and then immediately got your next off of the briefcase. But on 4 of 8 Modern, you only need the one more mission after contact and flirt. So you could definitely get away with this.
Yep, and you certainly wonder if there's sort of just too much muscle memory about Modern for some of these snipers who are still switching to 4 to 8. It might be a good mode, but if you're used to 5 of 8, you're used to really taking your time, and you're used to taking certain shots on Modern, and you have to psychologically prepare yourself for taking a soft tail kind of shot, which is now actually possible. And maybe the only saving grace of those aggressive fingerprints is that they are so aggressive. Who would do that? Well, I dare say Pwndnoob would do it, and I don't even have to guess. We are seeing it right now. The flirt, by the way, nearly done, 93%. Fingerprints are done as well. We haven't gone to statues yet, but there's still 2 minutes, and we only need another 2 or so missions, but we are on the radar. These seem to be bar highlights, by the way. Not going to matter this time because the purloin timer has expired, and we still have a drink in our hand.
Yeah, we delegated the general who has a book, actually kind of went out to Windows there and then goes back to Slam, which is a little bit weird. I've never seen that interaction before. I don't know why he went to Windows first. He does pick up a highlight as he goes to bar, but we delegated right as the timer expired, so we knew that that list was never going to get taken. We just wanted General to go places.
More people at bar, especially with these bar highlights. Why not? There's very little downside unless they actually see the delegate. And there'll be no purloin, so they'll probably forget it just as quick. The seduce is done, by the way, because our seduction target thankfully did not walk away. Seduce is done, fingerprint is done. About 90 seconds left. And we have not been to statues yet, and we have not contacted yet. We are with the real double agent. We just don't like the timing of it. People are a little too spread out, but I don't think it's going to get any better. Might have to do it soon. There are SDAs in 2 other relatively full conversations. Double agent leaves. There goes our chance. I think that might have been our best option. We're just going to fake now instead. Right before an SDA leaves, if we're fishing for a low light, it's a pretty good little fishing move.
You know what
But nothing
sucks?
is happening.
An SDA just joined our conversation right after we contacted, so we
That's right.
we very well may be credited with that contact.
We're
That
probably
bug,
going to be credited with that bug.
Yeah, you have to credit that as DOWSEY. Duke.
It's a pretty good one, though.
I often talk about this, how Duke is one of the only 2 characters in the game whose arm does not snap to his front when he does a bug and goes back to a neutral position. It actually goes back to his side, and that is what Pwn used for to his advantage there. He actually didn't need to start talking there. Starting the talk after the on and
Wait, hang on, hold that thought. 20 seconds left. We're going into statues. I guess we're going to swap because we haven't been to statues left. We're going to try to finish with an inspect here. That's going to be a green swap. DOWSEY, look at this party. It's so narrowed down. Does he even have to wait here? No, he doesn't. There it is.
He does not bother waiting for that swap to come off, but there's a shot.
Yeah, there's a shot indeed. Does not even wait, whether you have the mission count or not. I guess 3 was just enough. I think the trouble there, as you mentioned, was the SDA joining just afterwards. So this is one area where we mentioned earlier that Noob got a little bit of credit out of DOWSEY, maybe, for not going to a second cycle on statues, trusting the sniper to have a good command of things. In this case, it's kind of the other way around. It might have hurt him if DOWSEY did not have a perfect snapshot of that being a fake. If he noticed right afterwards, which is very plausible on Modern because there's a lot going on and a lot of different conversations to look out for, if he wasn't sure that was a fake, he might have been crediting Pwndnoob with the BB, which means he was ready to shoot there.
Yeah, and actually, if we had gotten that contact and that bug comes off as normal, we win that game. We would have had 4 missions done.
Yep. Which makes me wonder if he was all over fingerprint. It's hard to say. Maybe just not willing to credit the bug. Maybe really did get away with it. Anyway, that's going to guarantee at least overtime for DOWSEY. Big relief there. Not at least can't completely blow that lead, but he can take it home right now and avoid the insanity that is missions equals points on Tayen. If he can just score a spy win as Kane on Modern against Pwndnoob. Pwndnoob has played some of the most high-profile Sniper Modern games in SCL history, by the way, in consecutive finals, sort of. One in gold, and then and then another in platinum, both for the division, both times I think it was. Both sniped successfully on Modern. This time it's a little different because it's DOWSEY as spy, and it's just 4 missions instead of 5. This is for his tournament life. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, this will be huge. DOWSEY, very creative spy. 4 of 8 Modern opens up a lot of options for the spies, so we'll see what he can do here. We immediately cheese away from the bar, taking that delegate option with us.
Yep, and it is just an option. We'll see if a good opportunity presents itself, but it's in the very beginnings of Modern, and I don't think it was noticed, if I had to guess. STs and statues. Stop me if you've heard this one before. We're going to wait for them again. And that's a bit of a problem on Modern, because on Modern 4-8, you pretty much always want to finish the deuce.
Yeah, we're not taking that opportunity to go Purloin here. Looks like we don't really want to. We do have a new person that would go. Oh, there it is.
There it is. We're delegating to Seek, who is a cast member. DOWSEY may or may not know that, however. They are an SDA, not a DA. And it does. Whoa! Whoa! Perish shot. There has to be a Phantom here. Phantom bug,
Yeah,
Phantom swap, something.
Phantom swap, probably, right? Because we did mention that our ST was at statues just a little bit earlier, Track. You said that. Yeah, it just looks like this is a Phantom swap, and that is
Unfortunate.
not a fun way to lose such a high intensity match at this level of play.
Yep, and at this point, you have to wonder, like, what else are you crediting them with? A bug? Certainly. You know, that's about it. Look at this. Contact hadn't even gone off. You know,
Well, why
what
don't
are
we just ask this guy to come up here and explain himself?
That's a good point. I have to step away for a minute anyway, and Pwndnoob is going to be joining us and casting the second match. So I think his first official act as caster should be to explain his thought process there, certainly, whenever he gets a chance in there. But while we're waiting for Pwndnoob, that is a big win for DOWSEY, who goes up big, almost blows the lead on Ballroom of all places, and then scores 2 wins on Modern, the second of which, I'm just going to say, didn't have a lot to do with him, fair to say. I would have been curious to see what would have happened, because that Purloin Delegate was going to be very close. But DOWSEY does move on to the semifinals, where he will face the winner of Pafke Lazy Bear, which is the next match we're casting. Pwndnoob, enlighten us, sir. Also,
So
first, commiserations as well, by the way. Well played.
yeah, it's a really rough lose when you lose on your own merit. Because DOWSEY played really well. He deserved the win absolutely fully. I think that's the best loss I've ever had, though. And then to lose on what happened there was, so Red Dress went to statues. She then went to a second statue. She then does a path by the ambassador. So I'm like, okay, the only real threat on here, if a Purloin doesn't happen, is Red Dress. Rocker gets summoned, more or less, to that statue. And then I see a flash of the falcon that's behind the statue that Rocker's holding. And so it looked 100% like a green test to me, of someone who, the only person who could have been rushing on the map would have been Red Dress who was holding it. So it's a phantom, but it's like not like a misremember phantom or anything like that. It's just, it looked like this. It looked like a swap.
And
from
Red
it.
Dress only went to one statue, by the way.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah. Well, an unfortunate way.
This was 5 days ago.
An unfortunate way to go, but a really good match against a really tough player. And as you say, if there's such a thing as a good loss, that definitely qualifies.